Hello, everyone. Welcome to our online event titled The Teacher's Lounge, Engaging and Training Your Teacher Community on a Dime. Our guest speakers today are Brad Grumbles, Coordinator of Curriculum, Assessment, and Instructional Technology with Panama-Buena Vista USD, and Steve Johnson, Technology Specialist, also with Panama-Buena Vista. In 2013, Panama-Buena Vista Unified School District's new superintendent made a bold declaration. We're going one-to-one, and we're going big with 6,000 laptops to be distributed to students. Once the laptops were purchased and infrastructure was in place, it was evident that there was a training gap to fill for their teacher community. With 23 schools, 18,000 students, and 900 teachers, and only 3 support staff, how would educational technology team ensure training and support was meeting their teacher community needs? Well, today in this webinar, you'll hear about their cost-effective solutions for engaging and training their teacher community. And Brad and Steve will share how they consistently and uniformly train 900 teachers across 23 schools, save $8,000 in printing costs, eliminated printing, packaging, and distributing of costly 3-ring curriculum binders, and became a resource for an external community of surrounding districts and the community's Office of Education. So here's a little bit about Brad and Steve. Brad is the coordinator of curriculum, assessment, and instructional technology. He has 10 years of experience in education. He's been instrumental in standardizing high-value educational applications across the district, and he has contributed to various district goals and building relationships. Brad is a high-energy, visionary team leader offering experience in all functions of educational technology. And Steve is a technology specialist there at the district. He has taught 9 years within the district and currently trains teachers on how to effectively blend technology with their instruction. Steve has written a few books, and he also blogs at riseandconverge.net. You can connect with him on Twitter at sjohnsonedu. So without further delay, Brad and Steve, the mic is all yours.
Hey everybody, we almost clicked the end session there and shut it all down. That was a close one. I'm Brad, and this is Steve here.
Hello.
And if you guys get a chance, you guys got to follow Steve's blog on riseandconverge.net. He's a modern day prophet here.
I'm going to pay him right. I'll pay you later. I'll pay you later.
So today we're talking about our Teachers Lounge product or website that we created. And just to give you a little bit of background knowledge, we're about 2 years into our Schoolwires implementation. About 2 years ago, we decided to purchase a website, and we actually didn't originally go with Schoolwires. We went with another really popular free version of a website, and we literally broke it. We found a couple of glitches in the system, and so then we decided to revisit, and we met up with our sales rep, Raghu Reddy, who's a killer guy if you guys get a chance to meet him. And we started with Schoolwires. And so about 2 years in now, we basically have been using the website as a school website platform. And they'd always told us, Schoolwires had always told us that it was like a content management system. And we really hadn't explored that too much. We were using it for basically one-way communication to the public. And so it was just kind of like a flat website. But with the addition of our new superintendent, he came in with this vision to bring laptops to the kids' hands, and he really wants to, and he's continuing to invest technology or dollars into technology, putting it directly in the kids' hands. And so Deborah's numbers of 6,000 have since jumped to 12,000. We're right in the middle of a deployment right now. And by spring break, which is the end of March for us, we'll have 12,000 laptops in over 400 classrooms, and we'll be one-to-one. So it's a really big deployment. And so that makes professional development for the two of us extremely hard to reach that many teachers and to keep them up to date with technology. So that's where the Teachers Lounge comes in. And so I'm going to turn it over to Steve. He's going to outline our the process of which that we've gone through.
Yeah, and so I've got some drawings on here that I did. So I take full responsibility for for how horrible they are. But this right here is Atlas, and like Atlas, teachers have a ton of responsibilities right now. I'm sure in your school districts, wherever you may be, you might have some of the same ones that our teachers are facing right now. Just looking kind of what's on the slide, you've got response to intervention. Intervention's a huge thing at school sites across the country and around the world, and so schools are working on that right now and how to fit that in and get the help to students they need for learning. Curriculum adoptions. That's another huge thing for our school district this year. We adopted a math curriculum, and teachers needed to be trained on how to use it. So that's another thing we were kind of working with this year. Common Core state standards. California uses the Common Core state standards. Most states do, and this is the first year that we've implemented Common Core across the district. And so there's a lot of training that has to take place there. Professional development sessions, PD sessions are something that both Brad and I have been involved in, and there's only two of us, and we have Kathy Smith, who is instrumental in everything that happens in the school district. So that's our shout out to Kathy Smith. But professional development is something that needs to be done not in the traditional way of just everyone meeting in a room and learning something, building community through a school website, which is something we'll get into as well. And then various meetings. There's a lot of meetings that take up a lot of time. And if we can avoid as many meetings as possible because information is disseminated through a website, I think that's a real big win for everyone. So basically everyone is on his or her own island. That's kind of the way traditionally education has been. And the idea is that everyone right now is struggling with all the things I mentioned and more on their own island. So this past summer, before we deployed the devices, Brad and I really, and Kathy too, all really had a lot of conversations about how are we going to bring everyone together and train them and help them, help disseminate the information that we need to make everyone feel as empowered as possible. So as Brad mentioned, we've deployed Acer, one-to-one Acers to a lot of classrooms. We'll talk about that more in a bit. 6,000 laptops originally back in August, and then another 6,000 laptops that we're in the middle of right now. So they are being deployed today, tomorrow, and then all next week into probably the end of March. We'll get all 12,000 laptops into classrooms. So 3rd through 8th grade will be one-to-one. So we're getting a question, why did we choose the Acer laptops? That's a good question. Acer laptops economically worked well, especially with the operating system we were using called Ubermix.
That's a whole nother webinar in and of itself.
It is, yeah. I mean, iPads are great, Chromebooks are great, but for us, we were able to purchase the laptops, each unit, for about $270.
Yeah.
Ubermix, if you Google Ubermix, the first link will give you all the information you need. It's a great, free, educational, open source, Linux-based operating system. So definitely keep that in mind. We got another question. What is the student population? We've got about 18,000 students. So we've got about 800 teachers in the school district. We're K through 8, about 18,000 students. And so one of the ways that we wanted to train teachers is through appy hours. We were calling them appy hours because we really like puns.
Steve is the Punisher.
And he's big pun. So you know that appy hour was a really fun time. But it's hard for teachers to go to an appy hour at a different school site or at the district office after they've taught a full day of school. It's not feasible in the long term. Now, at first when we had appy hours, people would come, but then afterwards it kind of dwindled off. So the community that we were kind of building in appy hours was good, but probably not as good as it could be. So another thing that we were struggling with at the beginning of the year was the binders, and Deborah mentioned that. Getting curriculum out. right? Curriculum is something that we started doing in Google Drive. We started making Google Docs, Google Slides, and a lot of people wanted binder versions of that, of all those documents in binders. The problem is that all of those documents and slides were changing, and so once you print it out, your binder becomes dated, and so you've got this one binder, and then we change a document or two, let's say, and so the pages within that binder are dated, and then let's say you have multiple binders, so you have multiple documents and slides that are now dated, and people are confused. What's the most current one? We wanted to kind of get away from the paper and become more paperless, and using what would eventually become Teachers Lounge as a way of getting information out, getting the documents, the Google Slides out, is much more effective and cost effective than putting out binders with tons and tons of paper. So Brad was interviewed by Schoolwires at the beginning of the school year, and kind of the idea behind this whole presentation was this quote that they got from him, and he said, "Teachers teach in isolation. They want to learn from their peers and view each other in action, but it costs money to hire substitutes so that teachers can be out of their classes observing others. We needed a solution that would provide the opportunity for teachers to virtually visit their peers' classrooms. Our challenge, we needed a cost-effective solution to a potentially expensive problem." So again, the idea of everyone on their own island, how do we bring those islands together? How do we bridge the gaps there and have a central place so that everyone can go and learn the information that they need to know? So we had an idea. This was probably back in about June or July of 2014. We wanted to use our Schoolwires website. Now, we knew that right off the bat we couldn't just add a link to the website. We had purchased a subsite we weren't using at the time. So we thought, well, maybe we could use that. And on that subsite, we could provide resources to teachers like curriculum links and instructional videos and resources, third-party programs and videos and resources as well. That's something we definitely were willing to do. We had to give out a lot of assessment information. That's something that's really big right now across the country as far as state testing is concerned. We needed to give new teacher onboarding information. We hired 80 or more new teachers. And with all of these computers, obviously there's technical support that's going to have to be given. So we have a way to get to our website is you would go to the Panama website, and just like you'd click on a school in Schoolwires, well, you can pick Teachers Lounge, which is an option now. By the time, we didn't really know what to name it, so we were in Brad's truck, and one of us said, we should name it Teachers Lounge, right? And we're like, yeah, that makes sense. And then it was like, yeah, let's have a coffee theme too, with like the brown colors and kind of motif that we have.
To be fair, we were really hopped up on Starbucks at the time, so the ideas were just flying. That's why the coffee theme.
Yeah, caffeine definitely helps with that. And that's why when we went back to our office, and we seriously just went to work. We just got to work, turned everything off, just started working. Schoolwires makes it really easy to build the website and make it look the way you want. So a few hours later, we had Teachers Lounge. Brad made the coffee mug, put our logo on there, put the name up there. We started populating it with information, and and we were good to go from there. I'm gonna hand it over to Brad now.
It was literally like the same day. Once we decided on the name, we had the site. By the end of the day, we had the Teachers Lounge. So it was a really quick and easy site to set up. Populating, though, was the hard part. And so this has gone through many different versions. We just kind of put our minimum viable product out there and threw it out to the teachers and said, here's this resource. What do you think? And so teachers really latched onto it, and so we knew that we were onto something really cool. And so it's changed a lot in the process. And if you are thinking about doing this in your district, I'd encourage you just to get started, put something together, throw it out there, because you're going to learn a lot along the way. One of them being, it's really hard to make information, especially the amount of information teachers have to have, accessible. That's one thing that we really struggle with. But like Steve talked about earlier, up at the top we have our curriculum. So if you're watching and trying to go along with us, you can go to www.pbvusd.net, and that will take you to our website. And then on the left-hand side, there's a link to Teachers Lounge, or it's actually listed as a school site, and that would give you access to all the content that we have. Some of the information is restricted because our kids with their computers are really bright, and some of them started accessing the curriculum, so we had to lock it down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But on the curriculum tab, what we do is we use Google Drive to host all of our information. So in our process to go paperless, we settled on Google Apps for Education, and our teachers started creating and building out their content on Google Apps. And so what we did that with was our English language arts material, because we're currently outside of our adoption. So we'll be looking at a new ELA adoption next year. So right now we really have no curriculum for the Common Core. So we put together a group of teachers, put their brains together, and had them create the curriculum. And I see a question there, why not let the kids write the curriculum? It's funny, when you put the laptops in the kids' hands, they start to write the curriculum. They really start to lead the way. And so a lot of that actually is happening, and our curriculum's being modified, and it can be modified real time without having to print multiple sheets of paper through Google, which is awesome.
And I would just throw in there too, the philosophy that a lot of teachers are starting to have who have the computers in their classroom is allowing the students to teach them how to use the devices, effectively to help student learning. I piloted the devices last year too, and kind of the community at the school sites is, let's all learn this together. It's not so much the teacher just pushing out knowledge to all of the students. It's the students kind of leading their own teaching, kind of leading what's being taught in the classroom, and the teacher learning along with them. So yeah, that's a great question.
So we use our Google Drive there for curriculum. You won't be able to see it, but here's kind of a screenshot. We have our curriculum organized in folders. It's shared out to everybody inside of our domain, and then teachers have the ability to access it. So that's actually how Teachers Lounge started. We just needed a web interface for our curriculum. And then we started to get questions. So here. So we basically, this slide here, Steve's drawings, the way his brain thinks, it's kind of hard to follow sometimes. So let me put this together for you. Google Drive plus Schoolwires equals much love.
Much love.
Much love.
It's been great.
Yeah, it's been a great relationship. It's a very symbiotic relationship.
Yes.
So if you move over to the instruction side, this was our next step. So the curriculum is what we needed to host. And then yes, teachers are allowed to edit the curriculum. So the next step was the instruction side. We needed to help teachers not only learn how to use the devices, but effectively integrate the devices into their instruction. So we built out this instruction tab, and what we have here are a series of folders where we have put together some kind of model lessons that some of our teachers have put together that they've offered to share with us. And the really cool part is we put together some videos. So what we do is we use YouTube to broadcast teachers' classrooms to our district. So with 23 sites, it's really hard to get out and do model lessons, the two of us. It would take us almost the whole year just to visit a school site and do a good job of that. So what we do is we identify some of our rock star teachers, and we put a spotlight on them. We bring a camera into the classroom. It can be a smartphone, it can be an iPad, it can be whatever. We go in, we video parts of their lessons, and then we host it with YouTube, because our GAF accounts come with YouTube, and then we link to it and embed it in the Teachers Lounge. So this, what Steve alluded to earlier of teachers teaching in isolation, now they get a chance to see some of their peers. So in the past, we've used things like Teachers Tube and YouTube, but there's something about seeing people that you know, or people that you might run into at Vaughn's,
seeing them on YouTube and kind of watching their lessons. So our teachers have really enjoyed seeing that. And then as support personnel, if a teacher has a question, we can just send them a YouTube video that we created that directly addresses their need. So that really helps out as well.
Yeah, it really, I mean, the YouTube videos and being able to embed them in our Schoolwires website is huge. It gives teachers the support of people who are actually in the trenches with them in their district, because you could just go Google or go to YouTube and search for how to do something. But if you can see a teacher that you know doing that in his or her classroom, that's a lot more powerful. And it builds the community that we're trying to build up within Teachers Lounge.
And so what you might see is, this is a screenshot of one of our Teachers Lounge pages. So you'd see a video, you'd see a little tutorial there of how to, or just kind of an outline of what the teacher was doing at the time. And so we try to showcase technology best practices. We try to get the student engagement, things that they're doing for skill development and classroom management. And so, with videos like this, you might be thinking, do you have photo releases for your kids? Yes, we do. We built that into our parent handbook at the beginning of the year. And we made sure that we notified all parents that we've got technology in the classroom. There's a potential that you could see your student's picture on the web. We only put it on the district website, and so what we do is we give them the ability to opt out. And so we have a handful of students, and so we're very conscientious about that when we go into a classroom. Mm-hmm. We identify the students that are not allowed to be on the web, and we make sure that we keep them out of the screenshot and or just remove them from the videos. And so that helps us to really protect the students' identities, because yes, we're very conscious of that, and that's something that's a big ticket item right now.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll try to not get students in the frame of what we're filming, especially if it's a strategy that teachers kind of displaying for other people to see. But again, if you're going back to that idea of the students taking a lead in their own learning, then it's important for teachers to see what that looks like. Otherwise, it's just a stand and deliver type of presentation that might not be as conducive as the students engaged, collaborating, and actually producing with their laptops.
And so to get on this. To get on the Teachers Lounge, we have a couple of ways. We have some teachers that we call our C5 teachers, and they're our outstanding technology teachers. And so we try to highlight them, and they've kind of built out their little niches of things that they're really good at. And so we try to highlight that and bring that to light. And the other thing we've done is we've created a form that teachers can submit on the website that says, "Come see my classroom." And so we get an email from that form that notifies us, hey, something really cool is going on in this classroom. We need to go out there and see it. And so we'll schedule a time to go out there and see that. So the next one that we have there is the programs tab. So the programs, we support a lot of different programs, and I'll show you on this next slide. Just some of the things that we have in the district are Synergy, which is our student information system. We still have Outlook for a lot of our business applications, and that's our main go-to email. We have the district website as a tool. We have Renaissance Place, which is kind of our learning platform. We have Lexia, which is an early reading intervention program. Then we have the devices we need to support, Google Apps for Education, My Big Campus as a learning management system option. We have our technology for our GoMath technology, and then other things, social media like Twitter's, and then our C5 approved resources.
We have a question. So, what does a C5 mean?
Just to double back, the C5 teacher is built on communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. So those are the 4 C's. We didn't want it to sound like C4, which is basically a block of dynamite, so we extended it to the next level and we added classroom.
Yeah.
So it was really clever how we came up with C5.
Yes.
But there are 5 C's. So it's kind of taken off. It's a cool label. These are teachers that we pay a stipend, and they're our rock star teachers. So basically, this dashboard here is the list of applications that we have provided for our teachers. And so I saw a question on there, how do we uh, track the usage of devices? We track them through these programs. And so we have, if you go to the Teachers Lounge, we have what we call starter kits. And so we have some minimum levels of usage for teachers to help them guide, or just to help them feel comfortable. They know if they do this, 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 and this, they're at least using the technology. And so then our goal now is to get the teachers to the next level and really kind of dive into things like project-based learning and other ways of really integrating technology.
I see a question: how do you handle the audio when you're recording? The saying, like, the best camera you have is the one you have with you. So a lot of times it's just iPads and iPhones that people are using when recording in people's classrooms, and so the audio is just the speaker. It's just the microphone from the iPad or the iPhone. So you'll see, if you watch any of the videos, the audio is not great. And it's not really meant to be a professional, like, really slick looking video. It's just a quick and easy way to get kind of a snapshot of what's happening in classrooms and how people are blending the technology, just so we can build that community and get people together and talking about good teaching strategies.
So that's what one of those sites might look like. This is our Google Apps for Education page. And then Steve went through this. You can find a lot of videos online. Steve went through all of these videos on our domain so that it was as familiar as possible to our teachers. We get an opportunity to do a lot of PD sessions. We were doing a lot of PD sessions after hours, but we weren't really getting that great of attendance. And then we're providing some release days for our teachers, and actually one's tomorrow, where we're hosting an ed camp for an entire grade level across the district, and they'll get some really pretty solid hands-on time there. But what we found is that putting these videos and these tutorials on the website and making them as close to their current reality as possible has been more effective than us hosting some PD sessions. So I see that question down there. I hope I answered that. This is kind of that just-in-time professional development. A teacher can sit down at his or her desk, click a video, and in 5 to 10 minutes have a little bit better understanding of what they can do in their afternoon if they wanted to. So that really helps out a lot. So then the next section would be our assessment section. This is new to me this year. I just took this job on this year, and so we're trying to figure out the best way to communicate state testing information. And I don't know about your states, but we're continually getting last minute information, and so it's hard to stay up to speed on what's going on. So we built this site out, and right now I'm just putting resources out for people as they ask for them. Hopefully in the next year or so we'll get a more a cleaner assessment section built out. But what you would see here is some folders for Renaissance Place assessments, Dibbles, CASP, which is our state assessment system, and then the blank report cards came up there because some of our teachers wanted those. And then I just show some analytics of what percentage of participation we've had. And then the big question, testing windows. So that's kind of the purpose of the assessment tab there. Then our new idea is new teachers. Last year we hired, I think it was actually closer to 100 teachers. We were in the 90, right around 90 teachers, 90 new teachers. And so they don't all come in one nice, clean, wrapped package, and they don't all show up at one time. So we really had a hard time going through new teacher professional development. So we're building out a site now in hopes of capturing next year's new teachers to get them through some walkthroughs, so that at the very least, if we don't get an opportunity to meet them, at the very least they've had some training on how to take roll, how to set up their classroom, how to organize set up their seating charts in our student information system, how to do the beginning of the year screenings, which helps to buy us some time, because we could get teachers 3 or 4 days before school starts, and that's a really big group that we're trying to target this year. So the new teachers tab, if you're following along, it might not be completely built out yet. That's just kind of our thoughts on paper.
Yeah, for next year. Yeah.
For next year, but it at least gives teachers an idea that we're trying to help our new teachers get on board, and we're there for them. So, so that question down there is actually a good point. How do you get teacher buy-in? I hope I'm not skipping over any questions. Some of them are coming in pretty quick.
We can get them at the end too. If we miss
we'll
any.
double back. We really didn't consciously do a teacher buy-in process for this. It started as a grassroots campaign from the beginning. We kind of had teacher buy-in from the beginning because teachers were asking for this information and asking for these resources. So this was actually just a response to their questions, and a response to their needs. So we really had the buy-in from the beginning. Now, that said, there are some groups of teachers that we did miss. And so we've done some, our curriculum department hosts some focus groups for each grade level. And so we'll get some representatives. And so at that time, we get them in, we show them the teacher's lounge, we show them what it has to offer. And then we ask more questions. We get some more feedback from them. What do you guys want to see? What's working, what's not? And so then we adapt it from there. So then this is what you might see for that new teacher process. You'd see just a page linked out. Again, we're reevaluating this and seeing how we can make this as easy as possible for new teachers to help them get up to speed. So we're trying to make it as clean as possible. So then finally we have the support tab. So our support tab is Kathy. She's watching in the other room over there. So
Hi,
another
Kathy.
shout out to Kathy. Kathy is our support at pbvusd.net resource. She basically handles all of our our district accounts. So password resets, account setups, student management. Students don't always get put in the right class. So she's there. So if you're following along, this is a really cool tab. You click support, and she built out a pop-up which integrated great with Schoolwires. It's embedded. You click it, you get a pop-up that looks kind of like this. You see that online chat, and so you get quick access to Kathy and her knowledge. So you could start an online chat with her if you want. It also has some information on how to get a hold of her, email, and then it also has some of our C5 teachers listed by their school site. So new teachers or teachers that just haven't needed a C5 teacher, they would know who to contact at their school site and to help them get set up. So the cool thing about the chat, some of the unintended consequences of a chat, we've seen like a teacher. I don't know if you guys have ever set up got a class to log in at the beginning of a year into anything. Logging in is a nightmare, right? So we've had a couple of teachers, they'll start an online chat session. They will start a chat with Kathy, say, hey, Kathy, I'm John Smith, and I'm getting my class set up. So then they would chat directly with Kathy, and so you basically have a second digital teacher in your classroom to help you get set up with all of your accounts. So that's a really cool thing that we didn't really anticipate, but it's worked a couple of times and it's worked really, really well. So if you're thinking of doing something like that, that's a great resource to have. And we put our emails at the end of this, so if you want any resources, we can tell you how we set that up to get that online chat set up. So some of the results of this, roughly a cost savings of about $8,000. The site was, I don't remember what the site was, but it was less than $2,000, I think, to get the sub-site. And so, that's kind of a no-brainer right there. You don't have to do the math to see that we saved a lot of money. Not to mention just streamlined our communication. So another result, just-in-time professional development for teachers. That's kind of that model we talked about with the videos and the diagramming of what's going on in the classroom, as well as using Google Drive. We get a chance to embed a clean interface to Google Drive that teachers can access, whether they're tech savvy or not. The online chat was great. It provides a lot of help when needed, and it gets our teachers engaged. Some of the analytics that Schoolwires provides, our Teachers Lounge usage fluctuates, but we'll get about 6,000 hits per month. Some months, Christmas time, it drops, but it definitely is getting consistent usage throughout our district. And then another unintended consequence too is neighboring districts. Our superintendents got us on the Future Ready Schools pledge, and so one of the pieces in that pledge is that we offer support to outlying districts that, we're understaffed. We don't have the resources. They really don't have the resources. So we do meetings with outlying school districts, and then we offer up Teachers Lounge as a resource. So we've seen some of our resources and some of our ideas make it out into those outlying areas. So that's a great tool for our community. Were you gonna say something?
And I guess we'll finish up here, and then we'll take the questions that are coming in. Sorry that some of the ones that came in before that we didn't get to. We'll get to those before we end. But the Acer laptop that we deployed, it's just a tool, right? It's a tool, and we like to think of curriculum and technology as the same thing. It's not an additive. It's just the way that teachers are performing their daily tasks. And so, but giving one teacher or one student a computer isn't, it's not going to do anything. You need to have everyone needs to have access to all of the information that's on the internet and all of the collaborative tools that Schoolwires and Google and all these other programs offer, because when everyone has a computer, that's when everyone feels powerful. And I really think that Teachers Lounge, and it's not perfect right now, it doesn't look perfect, and not everyone is using it in the district, but for the times that it's worked, and it's worked many times already, to bring people together, to help give out information, and to just send links to our website to answer common questions that happen over and over again, that makes everyone really powerful. So thanks a lot for watching. Here's the information to contact us. Those are both our district email addresses, and then our Twitter handles as well. So maybe we should start at the bottom, Brad, and just start going through all those. It looks like you can scroll down too, maybe, and we'll just take them, the ones we missed.
That's awesome. How will we assess the success of delivering professional development by your teachers through Teachers Lounge? Honestly, we don't really have an official assessment or a definition of success for that. It kind of happened, like we said, unintentionally. This just happened out of a need for our teachers. So those focus groups that we host, we kind of ask for feedback, or we do ask for feedback explicitly about Teachers Lounge. What do they want to see? What do they want? Because one of the things we're toying with is this idea of an LMS, and we're having a hard time defining what is an LMS. Everybody's got a product out there that would cost us, in almost every case, over $100,000 a year, and it just doesn't seem like a good use of our funds when we have a product like this. So
yeah, because this is functioning as a learning management system.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's an easy way to get to Google Docs and Google Slides and just Google everything that we've been creating, and links to other websites and other resources. And we're doing it really, really inexpensively. So it's been great.
Yeah, so this is really helping us kind of test it. And so just, I guess, to answer that question, hopefully it does, just face-to-face feedback from teachers right now. Another question: any thoughts about badging in relation to this? I'm not exactly sure.
Well, I think that person might be asking about giving badges out to teachers for the things they learn, and so there has been talk about that. Students love receiving digital badges through learning management systems like Edmodo or whatever you might be using, and teachers love badges just as much. I mean, I know I love getting badges.
He's a Girl Scout. So
I wish you'd give me more badges.
Yeah.
But there's different websites. Credly, if you Google Credly does a great job of being able. You can set up an account and you can get badges. You can send out badges to students or teachers. That's something we have played around with, and we have badges for the C5 teachers. Those teachers who are kind of the blended learning models each school site. They have a badge on their Schoolwire personal website for their classroom. So yeah, that's definitely something that we're going to continue looking into. It's a great idea.
Is this part of your job, or are you finding the time within your teaching job to produce this website? Now, this is actually part of our job, yeah. We exist almost solely to help the teachers integrate technology. So that's why we're able to spend the amount of time that we do. And honestly, we actually don't spend that much time on this website. We'll have a couple of days a month where we will just become super focused on the website, and we'll populate it with the resources, and then we just kind of let it run from there. So yeah, this is our job, and it really helps us do our job. A lot of emails that we get are questions that we've answered before, and a lot of you probably experienced that. So a lot of our answers will just be links to Teachers Lounge. We'll put some information on there of how they can get more information, and then we'll link straight to a video, straight to a document, and 9 times out of 10 that helps. And then what it does is it empowers the teacher to discover the answer on their own, because that's really what it's about, right? It's about being like a lifelong learner and helping teachers find ways to access those resources and kind of learn on their own. So I'm seeing here, having trouble with teachers getting access to resources as well. We have about 3,000 or 4,000 teachers. Wow. Man, 3,000 to 4,000 teachers, I can't even imagine. We have a hard time with the teachers that we have. We really like the C5 teacher approach. They are our boots on the ground, and it was a great idea to highlight one superstar, rock star teacher at each school site. Steve communicates with them weekly, and so we'll communicate through them. We're trying to find the best way to communicate. We've tried Google+, we've tried My Big Campus, we've tried emails and other kind of third-party applications. That's tricky, but what we found success with is having monthly meetings and setting clear expectations, and then email communication, meetings, informal meetings at coffee shops, things like that, to just help us communicate with those people and really empower those people, and then allow them to be the voice to their school site.
Yeah, Google Hangouts, another thing we've used, kind of like Skype, and it's just the philosophy of crowdsourcing, which is obviously really big in a lot of different industries right now. And kind of like the idea of everyone on their own island, there's so much expertise and knowledge the teachers have in their own classrooms, and the struggle is to open up lines of communication so that gets spread out across the school district. And I think that the C5 teachers are a great start. Teachers Lounge is great in order to display what they know as far as videos and links to their work is concerned. And just, and spreading the word in that way, and having every single C5 teacher and every teacher who wants to be involved have that niche where they can be the resource. So if someone has a question about something, we can't be experts on everything, because new programs and technology are being created like every week. And so even if I knew everything there is out there right now, tomorrow I wouldn't. And so being able to crowdsource that and have teachers create niches they're passionate about to help other teachers with, which will obviously help students, that's huge and very important.
It looks like I skipped over one. What was the reasoning behind using Schoolwires instead of a free website creator like Google Sites? Sustainability, flat out. We tried a free option, and it required a webmaster to manage it. So we looked at the price of Schoolwires and figured that Schoolwires could do it for cheaper than having a dedicated webmaster. So we basically crowdsourced our website. So we have a lot of sub-site directors, is what Schoolwires called it. And these people take full ownership of their departments and their school sites. And so that allows us to maintain 23 sites plus a district site and keep this content up to date. Google Sites, to my knowledge, just was not friendly enough for us to be able to do that.
Yeah, I heard they're changing Google Sites. That could be something that's coming down the pike. But yeah, Schoolwires is so much easier to use, especially at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Do we have a site for parent information and communication? I love this question because that's our next big ticket. We've created a fairly flat landing page for our teachers now that they can dive down and get a lot of information. But yes, that's our next big step. If you go to our district homepage, www.pbvsd.net, there's a For Parents tab there, and it's got a lot of the information on a pretty, like I said, flat level. You can access pretty much everything you need from there. Not completely satisfied with it yet. We want it to be a lot better, but that's a big need for us. Yes, for sure. Do we have any confidential channels that require sign-in? We tried doing that. It was hard with all the accounts that teachers have to log in. It was hard to get them to learn another login scheme and get them logged into the Schoolwires site. So no, we actually don't have many confidential channels other than the ones that we use for testing purposes. So that's something that we hope to do in the future, but teachers have a lot on their plates, and one more account is not something they need. So we've avoided that. What's that next one there? How do we man the chat? Kathy mans the chat. She is one of the most amazing people you'd ever like to meet. Very type A, likes to get everything cleared off of her desk before she leaves at the end of the day, and while managing to be extremely creative. I wish I could give you a tour of all the cool things around our office, but she mans the chat, and I don't know if she meant to do this, but the chat feature that she set up takes over her screen, so there's never a chat that goes missed or unanswered, because it literally takes over her whole screen. She has no option other than to chat with her. So please don't bombard her with chats right now if you're on that site. But that's how we man that all day long. And then there's an out of office reply on there. So if you go on there, you can see that nobody's manning the chat. So she comes before teachers and she leaves a little bit after teachers. So most of a teacher's day is she's available.
Yeah, and just to add to that, the whole idea behind the chat and her email, and all the teachers have her emails, so they can email her as well, is just to give kind of like a business. You'd be able to have a chat with, like, your internet provider or cell phone provider or whatever. It's the same idea of giving that professional service, the district giving professional service to the teachers, whenever they need it during the school day, and it's worked out really, really well.
Are those 6,000 unique hits? No, they're not.
Yeah. We wish they were.
We wish they were. How long do teachers spend on each page? Actually, I haven't checked that in a while. I couldn't tell you. And which resources are the most popular? It depends. Right now, I would say it's probably Google Cloud Print. That's kind of the new thing with all the laptops going in the classrooms. Our plan to go paperless with all the laptops has resulted in, now how do I print this? So Google Cloud Print's really popular right now, but it fluctuates. It's definitely a rolling ball. My assessment page is definitely the most popular, yes.
Yeah, right now.
Well, yeah, actually, you know what? That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're in state testing, so that would be pretty popular.
And Brad's getting a lot of emails right now, and so he can email links to parts of Teachers Lounge, so he doesn't have to retype over and over again, answers to the same questions.
Do you have something for the parents? Yeah, we're working on that. And, ideally for parents and even students, we're hoping on actually building out a subsite for students and a subsite possibly for parents. We don't know if the need's there for parents yet, but definitely for students. Mm-hmm. A whole nother subsite for students that we would route all of the computers' homepages to that, and then we could communicate and provide them with the resources they need. All right, who's in these focus groups? Do they include less tech-savvy teachers? Yes. The focus groups are the leadership of the grade level at the school. So
many of whom have no technology experience at all.
Yeah. So that helps us to get a really balanced opinion about the technology, because it's not all kudos and pats on the backs for bringing in technology. There are a lot of concerns. So those focus groups are actually really powerful. And if you don't do anything like that, that's a really great idea to bring into your district. What advantage do you see of having a full subsite as opposed to just a channel? The flexibility of the channels up at the top. The subsite gave us a completely separate feel, and it gave us the ability to have that landing page where we can kind of advertise. So we liked the idea originally of just having separate channels that the links on the left, the pages, didn't allow us to do. I really don't like when you have to expand a page and then it just gets this outline look. So we wanted to keep everything up at the top. Do you have resources to help teachers use the Schoolwires CMS for their class website? We have, this last year, started a campaign to help teachers build out their website. We put the website out there, and we asked everybody to populate their websites, and a lot of the teachers jumped on board, but then there was a whole nother group of people that we either missed or new teachers that came on. So we have some resources out there.
I think there's 3 or 4 videos that I made.
3 or 4 videos on how to populate your website.
You can see that.
And then what we're doing now is we're actually building out a teacher's website for them so that they have something as a public face, just some basic information. And then as they reach out to us for, can you help us do this? Then we'll help them from there. But the main concern right now is, the goal anyways, is to have every teacher have a forward-facing website. Mm-hmm. And that hasn't happened yet. So we're still working on that. Do your C5 teachers facilitate PD on their home campuses during PLC time? Yes. And we are a PLC district, so we have early outs every Wednesday. And our original expectation for our C5 teachers was to host a professional development session at their school site once a month. So like all things, some of our C5 teachers are really on top of it. Some of our teachers aren't as much, so that's kind of where we come in and try to help facilitate that. But yeah, our C5 teachers are very instrumental in making all of this happen. And so their PD session, their PD sessions are happen more often and are probably much more effective than the ones that we offer as the district, because they're the boots on the ground, they're the faces at the school site. Yeah, and I mean, it's that idea of them finding what they're passionate about, having that niche, and then maybe even being able to go to other school sites. That's something that's happened and is probably going to happen more often, and then using the website to showcase that. I know next year there's so much more we're going to be able to do, because everyone's going to have more experience and people are going to have those things they're passionate about, and they have their niches already built out, and people will know where to go to get good information and where to get training. And so that's all happening right now and being developed. Why do we not have our logins synced during LDAP? I will not bore you with the details, but we do not have one single domain. We have one large domain and 8 child domains, and so anything LDAP has always wreaked havoc on our programs. So we just have avoided it. It's not a good answer to your question, and it's specific to our district. But it's better than boring them. It's better than boring them. I will save you the boring details. Yeah. Do you have teachers doing flipped classrooms, and do you assist with their videos? You know what? We don't have a lot of teachers doing flipped classrooms. So yeah, I mean, we're not really. I think the only thing, YouTube is blocked for the students in our district. Teachers have override. They can override and show YouTube in the classroom, but students don't have access to YouTube. So because they can't just have the students get on YouTube, they do have students get on YouTube at home. A lot of students don't have internet connection at home. So their parents might have smartphones. That might be a way to access it.
But that's starting. It's not something that, as Brad said, it's not something that's really huge yet. It's not something that's really caught on. But because of, I think just with time, flipping a classroom will become really natural. And when you get devices in your classroom, I was a teacher who always had students in rows. And about a month after having laptops in the students' hands, I naturally just they formed groups, and then they just stayed in groups, and for the rest of the year they were in groups. At 9 years of teaching, it was that ninth year where that finally happened, and the technology was really the way that I felt like I finally had a way to make that happen. So I think flipped classrooms will happen eventually.
Yeah. Another question about focus groups. Does it include teachers who tend to be less self-directed when it comes to PD? Yeah. We deal with that. We have conversations about that every day. How do we get teachers to professional development sessions, or how do we get the resources in their hands? And we haven't come up with an answer yet. So if you do have an answer, put it in the question there, but just put it in as an answer.
Yes.
That's tough.
Or they can tweet it out.
Yeah, tweet it at us.
Yeah. Hashtag
give us the answer, because we need that one.
Yeah.
C5 teacher PD sessions well attended. It depends. We have some really, really solid teachers that are in our C5 ranks. And I'll pair that with this other question. We did an interview process. We had them apply. We created a job description. If you want it, we'll send it to you.
It's on Teachers Lounge, too.
It's actually on Teachers Lounge, yeah.
Boom. Let's email the link to them.
We could email the link, if you have a question.
Yeah.
So we interviewed them, and then we took them through a 3-day boot camp over the summer to help them get up to speed with some of our programs. And then we do monthly meetings to help them kind of stay up to date with everything that's going on. And then part of being a C5 teacher is that they get to go to a conference. So we're getting ready to go to the Q conference in Palm Springs, and that's a huge boost to teachers. So if you've never gotten a chance to go to one of those conferences, man, those are huge. And that's what kind of keeps us going, is that just group of teachers. We just kind of have all evolved together. And so it's a really great process. And then how about project-based learning? We're actually starting to dive into that this year. Like we said before, we deployed the 12,000 laptops this year. So although it feels like we've had these laptops forever, most of our teachers have only had these devices for about 6 months. So project-based learning and problem-based learning are definitely in our future. And these C5 teachers are going to be instrumental in helping us get to that point. So we're going to try to tap into their expertise and their knowledge and see if we can't come together with this really collaborative kind of project of how we're going to tackle that on a large scale. Are you developing or utilizing digital texts? We have tested that. Part of that is our curriculum. Our curriculum hosted through Google Drive. But we were at a conference about a year ago, and got this really cool idea. I think Utah did it, where they put 100 teachers in a room throughout the state, and they gave them 2 days and 180 pages to make a textbook, and this was for science. And so those teachers hashed it out for 2 days, and at the end of the day, they had a 180-page textbook. They took it to a graphic designer, and for $10,000, they had this beautifully created textbook that they owned and could distribute and do whatever the heck they wanted to with. And we've always thought that was a really cool idea and would like to try that someday. We're just not there yet. Can you share the application form?
That was a Google form you created, I believe.
Yeah.
You could probably share out the link if we still have it.
Yeah, we can share out the link. We'll put it on the Teachers Lounge. Or if you email us, or
yeah, you could probably email a link to the form if we still have it.
Yeah. I gotta find it, so I don't think I can do it in this time, but we'll definitely share it with you. Anything you want. I mean, we operate under the paradigm that as educators, you kind of have an ethical obligation to share and help kind of further everybody's process. So
anything you want from us, we're pretty much an open book. So feel free to take this contact information you see here and reach out to us.
An open digital book. An open ebook.
An open ebook.
We're open ebooks.
Yeah, we're open ebooks. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's good. And then just an FYI, we have a pretty strict content filter, spam filter. So if we don't email right away, please email us back. You probably got caught in spam and we might not have seen it. So do you have to support the laptops when they are damaged or broken? That is actually a really cool process that
Kathy came up with.
We got to give Kathy kudos again.
Hashtag Kathy rocks.
Hashtag
Kathy rocks.
Kathy was a librarian, and so she knew the library system extremely well. Our laptops are treated as textbooks, and so if it's anything that's just basic wear and tear, dead on arrival, or anything like that, we use the mail system. So we use our existing system for the mail. Our mail guys go every day, visit every school site. They bring them back in these really cool purple packages. They go on Kathy's desk. She takes a quick look at them, and then we send them off to our vendor to get fixed, or we fix them in-house. So yes, we are responsible for support for those. But one of the other really cool things, I saw a question earlier about why not Apple. Apple just wasn't sustainable financially, and we just don't have the infrastructure for Apple. But UberMix, which we use, has a built-in factory reset. And so a lot of the problems, I can't give you an official percentage, but I'm going to say 75% of the problems that we have with these laptops can be fixed by the students by powering down and then doing a couple of keystrokes on the boot up, and they can actually restore these to factory default. That fixes most of the problems. So,
and because they're using cloud-based, resources like Google Drive, there's really nothing saved to the hard drive of the computer. Now, it's nice having a hard drive of the computer. If the Wi-Fi is down, they can still work, and they can produce documents and slides in LibreOffice, which is the UberMix version of PowerPoint and Word. But when they do have Wi-Fi, which is pretty much all the time, they can just save everything in the cloud. And so when, as Brad said, when they need to restore the computer, they're not losing any data. They're just restoring it, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, and it even has they partition the hard drive in UberMix so that you could save some things locally, and there is one step you could do to reset and still save the local files, which it's brilliant. If you don't know anything about UberMix, it's a great system, and,
Yes.
and our superintendent introduced us to it, and we were a little skeptical at first, but have drank the Kool-Aid and never looked back. It's a great resource. Looks like last question there. Is there one C5 per campus? Yes, there's one C5 teacher per campus, but we also have kind of a farm system for the C5 teachers, and that's our model tech teacher. So we have one model tech teacher, which we have a set amount of hours that we can time card them, and they help kind of support the technological aspect. They're like mini IT teachers at the school site. And then do the teachers have the same model of laptops as the students? Yes, in most cases. And I say in most cases because some teachers might not actually use it, but we've provided them with one extra laptop in their cart for their use. That way they can familiarize themselves and or use it. Some teachers just use it as a hot spare.
I use it when I go to school sites, and I go to school sites every week, and I present from the Acer laptop, the same exact model the students use in the classroom. I love it. It's small, portable, and it really gets the job done with any application I'm using.
All right, so there you have it. Feel free to contact us, seriously, anytime. Those are our Twitter handles and our email addresses. Reach out to us, let us know if you have anything, or if you come up with any questions or answers to the things that we're trying to figure out. I mean, we'd love to know. So it's a pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity, guys. And
thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
We'll see you guys later.